Hi, my name is Bert, and today we're going to talk about my 1963 Fender Jaguar. This is the first video in a series I'm putting together documenting my guitars. We're starting with the one that I've had the longest. I'd always wanted, a Jaguar. I remember Kurt Cobain playing a heavily modified Sunburst Jaguar in some video someone had shown me. I think it was live at Paramount. I just fell in love with the offset bodies. The Jaguar is a strange cat. It's got a short scale length, and controls are not that intuitive compared to the rest of Fender's models, but this quirky guitar is just cool. I purchased this guitar from the original owner, Rondy Burgett, in 2005. Rondy ran a studio in Howell, Michigan called Peg Leg. It was an old building that he had converted the downstairs into a guitar store and studio while he lived upstairs. The first time I walked in, the guitar was hanging on the wall in the corner, but it wasn't for sale. The store and the studio ended up being a pretty frequent haunt for me. I was just beginning my music career and writing songs, and I spent hours recording there. Rondy had lots of words of wisdom and so many great stories. He played in a band called Frigid Pink for some time, and he collected Gibson Moderns, the Carina remakes. He was the first to ever share the story with me about the guitar community's white whale. Yeah, he had some stories that stuck with me. After a few months of working with him on various recording projects, one night he proposed a trade. He was looking for some gear to finish out his guitar rig. Rondy was the first player I remember meeting who was super into the Line 6 modeling systems, the pod racks. He was looking for a Mackie SR1530 reference monitor to be his guitar cabinet to finish his pod rack rig. I tracked one down, and with some leftover college grant money, we made the trade. Hopefully, that's enough space. This guitar has really mostly just hung up on my wall, primarily. I probably should put something underneath of that. What are we thinking, like a towel? Let's find a nice towel. And my dad always told me, you gotta lay down a towel whenever you're working with stuff with small screws. And if we are taking this apart today, which, let's face it, we are, we're gonna need tools. Lots of small parts here. When I got this thing, it did not have the decal. Rondy had told me that his various paintings and repaintings and resprayings of this thing, that the decal just one day came off. So I, for years, was just happy with it. There was actually a witness mark in there. You could actually see where it once said Fender Jaguar. Right down the road from me here in Akron, there is a really, really cool Guitarfest. I actually shot one of my early videos for the channel at Guitarfest, the ONE Guitarfest. Yeah, I'll post a link to that down below. And I had a great time. Especially being new here and new to the community, it was nice to rub elbows with a couple of people that I'd met down here, and on top of the two, meet new people, people that I only knew through the internet. So at one of the Guitarfests, I saw this tag here, and we did some Googling search and double checked it, made sure, and it looked right. It looked right. But the Jaguar logo is actually, if you can't see the witness mark now because it's in there, it actually should be shifted over. So I should have cut in here and moved it over. I don't know. The first couple days I put it on, it was weird because I'm not used to seeing this guitar with a logo, but it's grown on me. And on top of that too, it is a real deal Fender Jaguar, so it deserves it. Let's do some measurements. Let's check what the neck width is here near the nut. That is reading 1.58 inches, 1.589 inches, okay. Let's double check it here at the 12th fret. It does get a little bit wider here. And 1.9 inches here wide at the 12th fret. I had a buzz stop put on this thing. Again, it was at the suggestion of Carl Bradychuk, who actually owned a 62 Jaguar for a while. He suggested a buzz stop to me, and I dug it. It was $75, best $75 I ever spent on this thing. I have also had this thing completely rewired about a dozen times. Right now, this switch doesn't do anything. I took all that stuff out because I wanted to replace these parts because they were all scratchy when I first got it, but I didn't have the money because I just bought a vintage guitar that needed to be refretted, and also, well, needed to be refretted. I bought a guitar that I plan on refretting, so I didn't have the money. Right now it's just set up so pickup on. I always thought this is a mid-tone cut of some sort, like a bass cut. I dig it sometimes when you got to cut through master volume, master tone. This volume knob, when I got it, was all cracked up. I think it's in one of my drawers back there. This actually came off of a Roto Vibe that had a very similar knob. So I left it on there. Let's pull some strings off here and get some neck measurements. When I first got this thing, my very first restring job, I didn't know how to use the Fender, the vintage style tuners. I was only ever used to the ones that go through the hole. So I balanced it, because I didn't know any better, along the little sliver here, and then wound it down. And I don't know how the strings managed to hold on, but I had no idea they were supposed to go down to the pegs. All right, let's check the, all right, so the neck depth at the first fret, or near the first fret, is 0.82. The neck depth at the 12th fret, or at least near the 12th fret. Let's double check. 1.4. Okay. All right, let's pop this off and see what we got here. Bridge pulls right on out here. I had the little metal thing that went over the bridge. I had it. Don't know where it is now, but I did have it. Lost to time. That's the other thing. The hardware in this guitar was actually replaced. Rondi had replaced it and gave me a bag of the old hardware. I don't know what I was going to do with it. It was everything minus, I think, the high E tuning machine was the only thing missing. But it was everything else. It was all the plates and stuff like that too. That last I knew was sitting in my parents' basement. The house has since sold. I haven't been back there. I don't know. It's probably, again, one of those things that's lost to time, or somewhere in a box. I've got boxes from moves that I've moves that I've never unpacked. So I mean, it could be in those. As you can tell, I'm very urgent and worried about it. Is that the final screw? Yes, it was. Okay. So this is where the pickup once, that humbucker pickup I talked about, once resided inside this guitar. I am dealing with a new mount here, so let's see if I can figure this out. There we go. We see where everything mounts in here. And that's where that pickup would have gone. It has since been filled in. He told me he filled it in with sawdust and then just painted over it. I could believe it. And then over here we can see there's a little T in the body right through here. And that's where he said the controls were housed for this. Now I don't know if that means there's a hole under this cavity. I guess there's one way to find out. Let's take a look. Because if that means there's a hole under this cavity, I can see there is right through here, right on in there. Well, he had plans for it. He had something going on with this whole thing, so you know, he was a tinkerer, and this was definitely a great guitar to pick up for me, as you know, just a kid with a really old guitar. I guess it'd be better to have something like this than something that was pristine, you know. Okay, so probably everyone's waiting for me to pull the neck off. All right, I know people have differing views if you should remove necks just to gawk at guitars or not, but I'm a big fan of taking things apart. Putting them back together, my track record is not that great. The moment of truth. Let's pull this neck here and see what we see, all right? Neck comes off. I am having a hard time seeing that, but I remember that being a little clearer, of course. This is the reason why I'm documenting this thing, folks. These aren't going to be around forever, right? So I looked back at some emails and some messages on Facebook and found that the original date on the Jaguar was 4 June 63B. The date has since worn off, and it's just another quirky, weird thing about this guitar. Wish I had more to share than just maybe, you know, but I do seem to remember this thing having a clearer date than that. That is unfortunate. Anticlimactic, I'm sure. All right, let's get this neck back on here and let's go over some battle scars with this thing. Let's talk about all the nicks and all of the wonderful, wonderful relicking that has happened on this guitar here. So again, when I got this thing, it was intact. It wasn't the original paint job was a refin, but it was all intact here. You can see that T mark there too, all the wear along the edges here. You know, said that I put that decal on myself there. When he resprayed it, it looks like his gun was leaking just a little bit, his spray gun. So we got these little speckles in there. This nice little, I believe that's alder. Piece of wood there comes through. You can see the grain in there and stuff like that. There's all these little marks in here. You know, from just playing and beating it up in the front there. You can see basically all around the edges there. Probably playing slide just a little too much and getting a little too excited with that. One of the weirdest marks in here, by the way, is here behind the headstock. There's this like chip or something. It's discolored from the rest of this headstock, which is, and of course the neck too, which as you can see is very well loved. But it's a weird, I don't know if he filled it in and then, you know, put clear coat over it, but it's flush. I really can't feel it. So I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I don't think I've ever dropped this guitar, but as you can see, like I've definitely worn it off where it meets your jeans here, where it rests on your lap. And I've definitely picked very crazily along this edge here, it looks like. You can see the paint just sort of chips off, so it's likely too that I was also just bored one day and just chipping at it a little bit here and there. Again, you know, I bought this guitar to play. I bought this guitar to play really hard, and I've done that a lot, you know. In recent memory, I actually sold this guitar to a friend of mine who's a former student. I was hard up. I needed the money for rent. You know, it was one of those things where it was roof money, and he was kind enough to buy it off me to help me out, and he really enjoyed it. He liked it a lot. But then I think he moved on to SGs or a different kind of guitar altogether, or maybe this is a quirky guitar. Maybe he finally succumbed to the fact that it's just a weird guitar. And we worked out an agreement for me to buy it back, and I drove up to Michigan to get it back, and I am so glad that it's home. This guitar and I have a history, and I am so grateful that it's back in my collection, and that's part of the inspiration for this whole series of talking to you guys about these guitars, because guitars are temporary. Everyone you've ever met who's into guitars has the story of the one that got away or the one that they had to sell for rent money, and this one came back, and I love it, and it means an awful lot to me. And I hope that this video meant an awful lot to you, and I hope you liked it. I hope this encourages you to inventory your own guitars. They come and they go. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think about this Jaguar. Let me know what you think about the couple tracks I recorded with it. And be sure to go check out the Moderns, their YouTube page and their Facebook. And maybe this thing will come back again. Maybe we'll see it on a record. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. This video is actually in conjunction with my band, the Moderns. They just released a full cover of Lullaby of the Leaves that you can find on their channel. Please make sure, if you haven't already, that you're subscribed. It really helps the channel out. It really lets me know that you like the videos that I'm making here. This is the first in a series, and I'm looking forward to show you and talk to you about all of my guitars. So please make sure you're subscribed. Go and check out the Moderns. Make sure you're subscribed to their channel too. Find the music anywhere. Links are all down in the description. You take care. Be safe.